Hello, hello to all my support fibromyalgia friends. Welcome to the 4th of July weekend. It's a long weekend, so hopefully you have plans to relax and be kind to yourself. I'm Melissa Talwar from the Support Fibromyalgia Network. Wanted to jump on here and do a live broadcast for all of you this weekend because we have a lot of updates. We've been missing out on a lot of these updates, so I wanted to make sure to just check in with everyone, give you some updates of what's going on, go through some other updates that's happening in the fibromyalgia community when they come up. So if you are tuning in live, please say hello in the comments and say where you're tuning in from. I'm in Southern California right now, trying to get through some of the heat and humidity. The humidity has been much higher than I'm used to. So with gardening and those things, it's definitely been rough, but I know there's been a heat wave all over the country. So please let us know how you're doing. Hopefully you're staying cool, but add into the chat, say hello, where you're tuning in from, and we'll get started with the presentation. Hi, Pamela, good to see you. St. Petersburg, Florida. How is the weather out there? Hopefully, I haven't paid attention, honestly, to what's going on with the weather in the news. I know there's a lot of stuff happening, so I've been a little bit distracted, which I will get into later on with the end of the video where we kind of go through stress strategies. But I wanted to first start out with some updates for you and just open up an interesting discussion with what's starting out with some latest news in fibromyalgia research. So fibromyalgia could actually be an autoimmune disorder, mouse study suggested. So there was a mouse study that got released recently when it came to fibromyalgia. Now, I do love this type of science because it opens up the possibility for discussion, right? Because sometimes we get stuck in the old ways of fibromyalgia research and information from the past and what research has kind of said. But we have to realize some of this research was that we've been sort of perpetuating and talking about when it relates to fibromyalgia. This research was potentially done in 2008, 2010. So, I mean, this is eons ago where even scientific technology is really advanced. So looking at those types of studies and understanding, I mean, it's science, right? So when we get into this type of information, it's good for us to be curious and ask questions because that's what science is all about. And when it comes to what is going on with fibromyalgia, I really enjoy these discussions on the possibility of autoimmune, but at least talking about the connection, right? We see a lot of connections with autoimmune conditions, with fibromyalgia. It's overlapping. We see this heavily in the lupus community, Sjögren's syndrome. So you see this 50% overlap with that, but even lupus community, and not just with getting a diagnosis of lupus and fibromyalgia. We see it in family systems. So if you talk a lot to some of the lupus community members, a lot of their family members also have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. They may not present with lupus ever, but there is some sort of connection there that we cannot deny when it comes to getting a diagnosis of fibromyalgia and how it connects to the autoimmune disorder systems and even the immune system. So I think this is what some of this articles and discussion brings about, right? Because we don't really know the full connection yet. And that's why I love the science discussions, because it opens up this idea and presentation of something new for fibromyalgia. And I have to laugh because some of these articles, the terminology is a little off. I know sometimes it gets sensationalized because they want you to click and read the article. So it's interesting, but I mean, you get neurological disorders, so autoimmune conditions that do start in the brain as well. So it could fit into those categories, or antibodies being built against brain or myelin sheaths. So, I mean, all this discussion can be had, especially with what's going on with fibromyalgia. And it doesn't need to be as simple as some of these articles explain, but it's a really good discussion to start having. And I'm glad I'm seeing people have it again. Just brings up debate and gets us curious and gets us really diving into more of the science. I do have to laugh too with some of this stuff because it's it says new research on mice has now found further evidence that fibromyalgia is not only real, which okay, can we just get past that already? We know it's real, but it's funny how they use language in these formulas, but it may involve an autoimmune response as a driver for the illness, because it's a lot of been talk of where it resonates with where fibromyalgia, the immune system is off. So this is kind of where we can present that information. And we've seen this with genetic studies, and I'll post one of the genetics studies more recently, actually, that has found kind of evidence that fibromyalgia could be an autoimmune condition, at least among a subset of patients, which is important to note, and something that's kind of finally come forward when we talk about fibromyalgia and seeing subsets of patients, because for a long time, with, again, some older science, they found that there was no inflammation present in fibromyalgia patients. And so some of us who are walking around with a little bit higher scaled inflammation may have been like, well, then do I really have fibromyalgia, or is this like early onset autoimmune conditions? And I'm learning from other people, and there was a good rheumatology talk from Looms for Lupus in May, where the rheumatologist talked about that he does see a subset of population with fibromyalgia who do have higher inflammatory markers. And so this makes sense. And so it's like, when we look at this, it's like you can't put everyone into one box. So understanding where that comes from and where it is, because inflammation does lead to a lot of other disease states. And so we can't disregard that. So when it comes to inflammatory markers, and if you see it, and that's kind of like what I've noticed personally in my life, because my inflammation markers were always like at the higher end of normal, which is a whole separate discussion of lab results and something that's not taken into consideration, what your optimal inflammation levels could be for when you feel better. And so that's something I noticed with my lab results. I was always on the high end of normal lab results, or I would go outside and be high in the lab values, but nothing extensive. So doctors sort of disregarded it. So I was looking at SED rates, CRPs, I'd always be out of elevation. So it was just something to like really think about. And it looks like I've lost connection with Facebook. So I don't know, maybe we'll get in there. But, or that's what StreamYard just told me. So hopefully we'll get back in, but back to the lab result type thing. And so when I started diving deep into testing more of the inflammatory markers for myself, IL-6, TNF alpha, so I noticed repeatedly like those levels were slightly elevated, but again, doctors were like, this is not enough to call it an autoimmune condition. So was I just presenting with early onset autoimmune issues, or did I have fibromyalgia? So when I started to feel better, those values actually fell lower significantly. So for example, if I had a normal SED rate of 27 or 29 on average, when I went to go test it, when I started to feel better, it dropped to like 14. So, and that's what I noticed with all my values for CRP, IL-6, and any of the inflammatory panels that I was running on myself. So it's really going to vary and be personalized from person to person to see what can happen with this. But it is an interesting discussion to have when it comes to autoimmune conditions, because are we talking about early onset autoimmune disease, which takes time, or are we talking about fibromyalgia being in that autoimmune spectrum? So, and like what that progresses, and is there a subset of fibromyalgia patients with higher levels of inflammation and what that leads to? So does that sort of lead people to believe that that subset of fibromyalgia patients may actually end up with an autoimmune condition later, because those inflammatory responses are not addressed within the immune system? So good discussion overall to have. I like that we're having this discussion. And if you want to really see the Journal of Clinical Investigation and understand what they did, I need to dig into this weekend. So I definitely will take time to dig into it this weekend. I'll post the links and all the stuff in the description as I go through. But I like to have it. I like being curious with science. I think it's important that we start being a lot more curious when it comes to science and do more investigation with fibromyalgia research. We need more research like this, and especially from older studies. If it was like in 2010, let's replicate those potentially in larger populations, but let's replicate it, hold control systems a little bit differently, and see what happens. Can we replicate those studies to progress forward to understand even the basics of fibromyalgia? So again, people like no inflammation involved with fibromyalgia, but we're seeing changes now with advanced technology and new studies that disagree with that. There's a subset of population of fibromyalgia that doesn't relate to. So we have to keep replicating these studies, keep looking at research in a new way. We've advanced so much in our technology, especially for brain imaging. So let's utilize that for fibromyalgia research. And speaking of fibromyalgia research, I mean, we definitely at Support Fibro will be diving into more research segments, talking to researchers, doing outreach, and getting some more information. If you are a researcher out there watching this, or you know someone doing fibromyalgia specific research, please connect with us. We would love to not only share the research that you're doing through social media, but if you're interested, you can be a guest and jump onto social media and join us for a conversation, or even do a webinar with us where you do the slide deck, because we want to make it accessible research to the whole entire patient community and break it down and understand some of the science behind it. So it's super important for us that the whole community comes together and we build this rapport and understand research and what's needed and what's next. And when it just comes to research, just to highlight, we do have a Survey Monkey going around. So a survey for fibromyalgia food access survey. It's important that we kind of put this together, and this is from Support Fibro side, and it's continuous. And we want to get you the information. We want to know how to better support the community and how food impacts your life when you're living with fibromyalgia. And if you have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, please, we'd appreciate if you could just fill out this quick survey to help us out. It asks questions on food access, how you view kind of food preparation, are you able to do that, and the impact that maybe some of the symptoms of fibromyalgia have within your life of like accessing food and even preparing food and getting it from you. So here is the survey form, and I'll put it in the chat for you. And definitely appreciate just as many people as we can to fill it out. And we're going to be taking this information, visualizing the information. We definitely want to increase it and work with other organizations and community organizations on food access, and then share it with our other community organizations friends that do work in autoimmune conditions and fibromyalgia, so that we can make sure people have proper food access. This is a collaborative that we want to expand on. I want it to be a bigger project. So we're starting out with polling all of you in the community to see where you are at when it comes to some of this stuff. When it comes to fibromyalgia advocacy efforts, we did a quick update here for those of you. We appreciate everyone that did advocacy work and for us in May. May 11th was a big day, but we're just going to continue on, press on. We have some updates, so I'll probably do a separate video just on advocacy and the updates that we found. Next week is going to be a big week of meeting with more NIH researchers for the conference. So I'm excited about that. We're making progress and moving forward. So we will have a separate video updates for that. And for those of you that did join us for the virtual advocacy day, and then anything from the past advocacy days, we want to have a virtual meetup in August. So I'm going to be picking the date, or if you're interested in getting involved with advocacy moving forward, we'll schedule a nice little meetup where we'll kind of check in with all of you, see how you're doing, where you see yourself involved with advocacy moving forward. So probably set it up in August. So stay tuned for that as we move forward. Okay, I'm excited to say that thank you to iPain, International Pain Foundation. So I was lucky to be and very honored to be selected as a winner in the patient advocate category for the Hero of Hope Award. So happy to represent fibromyalgia in this patient advocacy world, and it's important. So please definitely check out the International Pain Foundation. You can go to internationalpain.org and get information on what they're doing, upcoming campaigns. You can learn about the other Hero of Hope Award winners. And of course, when you go to their website, they have iPain Living. So a lot of people ask me about magazines and just a magazine for us to read. So this is a great one that you can subscribe to, and there's a lot of information on their internet. So it's internationalpain.org. So you can go to their website, get more information, subscribe. They do have a physical copy, and oh shoot, I wanted to bring it with me. So maybe I'll do a picture and share the physical copy with you. But I got it in the mail, so I'm excited to read it. It's physical or digital. You can choose what you need. And just a shout out to them, because a lot of people always ask me for like magazines, is they're good. So this is the one that I recommend for us. They have an article about fibromyalgia and other like pain related articles too. So I know we have joined a special group for Facebook where it comes to nonprofit. So for the first time in a long time, I have actually been in touch with humans when it comes to Facebook, and I think it's going to be similar for YouTube as well. So if you are on any of our social media networks, it's great to have donations. If you want to donate through any Facebook birthdays and set it up, please know, and let us know too. So we'll do something special in July. July is a big birthday month. So if you want to do a fundraiser for us in July to celebrate your birthday, please reach out and let us know. We'd be happy to support you any way we can and send you something special. So those July birthdays, because my birthday is in July. So we want to do something special for all of you and to celebrate that. Thank you for everyone who continues to donate to our organization. It means a lot to us. It goes into the programs that are supporting fibromyalgia community directly. So every dollar counts. No matter if it's $1, it matters, and it goes directly to all of you, the patient community. So thank you so much for everything that you do to support us as an organization. Quick shout out to that gaming dad. I wanted to make sure that everyone had the link and for Twitch, because he's on Twitch. So please go support him if your family and loves like anything with gaming and racing. I love this. Look at the car. It was so cool to watch some of the online racing, and I really enjoyed it. If you have family members, please send them their way just to watch. It's family friendly. Ted is amazing, and he just does such a great job with all that he does. And here is the Twitch channel in the chat. Go check it out. Subscribe if you love this, like interact with him. He's awesome. He joined us for multiple advocacy days in person at Capitol Hill. You've heard him on the channel before. So he's done interviews before. So we're always interested in supporting him. I need to get on this website so I can give him a special page and a special shout out for all the great work that he's doing for the fibromyalgia community. New shout out. There's a lot of new podcasts going on, and I'm excited to share like the Butterfly Chat from Latoya, Fibro Flash on Instagram. So you can follow her, subscribe. This is something new. I know a lot of people are getting into podcasts. I love it. I love hearing all your podcasts with fibromyalgia pain. So I definitely wanted to give her a special shout out. And you can follow it. I think I have the Buzzsprout chat, and I'm going to put all of this in the description so you can have it nice, but I'm just chatting with you guys now so you can find the links directly. But she is great. She joined us too for the virtual Capitol Hill Day, so you know she's really interested in advocacy and doing stuff locally to support the community. So I look forward to working with her moving forward. So definitely Butterfly Chat, and I do love the phrase embracing your new normal and discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly of all things fibromyalgia. So Butterfly Chat, check it out. Shout out to Painfully Living. Katie was another great warrior. We got to connect more this year. We did a great interview with her. She joined us for a virtual advocacy day as well. She has a free ebook, and I know it's a little small to see. I should have blown it up a little bit more, for massage and myofascial release, but I do go support her blog because she has a lot of good information there on even LDN and all these things that she's trying. I know she just sent me a good resource on a doctor that she's working with as well, and a separate program. So a lot of updates are happening at her website. Great blog. Very insightful, very honest with the information that she gives out. So please go and support her work. And then there is a free workshop coming up from the Social Butterflies Foundation. So on July 21st, and the time is actually Eastern time because I know this organization is based in Virginia. So shout out to Chastity and the Social Butterflies Foundation. We had a great interview with her on the Impact Tour, but they are having a special Social Security Administration guest speaker. So this is someone from Public Affairs Specialist for the Social Security Administration. This is a free workshop through Zoom. And I know they're looking at figuring out how to broadcast it live as well. Understanding disability benefits and the disability application process, how to use your Social Security online account and other online services. What are supplemental security income benefits and how do you qualify? What do you need to report when you receive SSI? What other Social Security programs are available and who qualifies? That's a lot. It's a lot of great information. I know we get a lot of questions like this coming up. So that is a free workshop coming up in July. We'll be sure if you have any questions or you need the Zoom link, I'll be happy to share it with you. So that way we can get you into the Zoom meeting and you can ask your questions of this wonderful guest. I think it's a fabulous thing. So shout out to Social Butterflies Foundation for setting that up. We will be having more information. You know, I'm a big fan of the WALS protocol, so I'll be doing a separate presentation just on the WALS protocol. I've been trying to figure out if I should break it up and do an intro to the WALS protocol and then stop and then do a separate video of my experience with the WALS protocol. So I'm trying to figure it out so I can ensure that it's easy to digest and figure. But if you have any questions or if you are already doing the WALS protocol, please let me know because I would love to connect with you because I'm such a great fan of her work. Dr. Terry Walls and everyone on her team has been such an inspiration to me. Part of what I wanted to do with this was discuss strategies for stress here because I haven't been so great when it comes to this whole, I guess, stress factor of what's happening. And I don't know if anyone out there can like sort of relate to this is when everything gets compounded, right? You're already kind of feeling down, you have low energy, some of your pain is getting, and then stuff happens in your personal life or just anywhere in your life that just keeps compounding, like added, another thing, just like, when you make those comments, like when it rains, it pours. That's exactly it. And it just reminds me to have this open discussion with all of you. And if anyone wants to chime in, please feel free to share tips and stuff that you do, because I can admit that after May, I was not great. So June gloom was definitely real when it came up to different things that were happening. Because after May, for some reason, I get really down. So I don't know what it is, like stress. I get really bummed out. So on top of that, trying to like take care of my mental health, but then all these things start happening, right? So it just gets compounded. I mean, my dad had to have surgery on Monday. He woke up with an anaphylaxis. So it already like brings up that vigilance of what's going on, not feeling great, having conflict with family or friends, like people conflict was just added to it, right? So you get these layers on top of layers. And then on top of it, my peaceful haven of gardening was invaded by critters. So the cute rabbits who are really cute were eating my cucumbers. So, okay. So I just thought it was rabbits. So Mike helped me build an entire fence, which took a lot of energy, just around the space that was being invaded and eaten by critters. And I thought, okay, we're cool. The rabbits, let's see if we can get in. But then it turns out, on Arlo, had the camera kind of set up to just, figure out what's going on out there. So it wasn't rabbits. I'm all seeing these rats doing Olympic style, like gymnastics off the tomato cages to try to eat. And it's hard when you realize you're like, oh no. So the fencing that we built was not built to take out rats. And we tried everything humane with like garlic and peppermint oil. So every morning I'd go out there and the garden would be destroyed. And so this is my area of relaxation, my peaceful haven that I used to use is no longer that space. So where were my stress strategies when I was implementing this? So we had to do something about the rats, and it was really gross. So walking out there every morning, I was like, okay, I was waking up every morning. I was like, what is the point? What is next? Like, what is coming down the pipeline here? And you get into this vigilant state, right? So that's why I want to have this discussion with everyone. What are some of the things that you do to calm that stress, like calm your stress response system? And yeah, sometimes I forget, even as a health coach, that it's this buildup, right? Like, May, you weren't really paying attention. We were so invested in what we're doing with Fibromyalgia Awareness Month and just getting this stuff that's why I included the quote there. The time to relax is when you don't have time for it. Exactly, right? So we were just like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And I thought that I was putting forward a lot of, deep breathing every day and stuff, but I actually needed more, and I didn't recognize that I needed more. So this is where it comes to a huge halt and really starts to affect you. So how can you take these few like healthy steps, even though they're small, but do it like more frequently to kind of prevent those crashes and really help this ability to transform your stress daily so it doesn't like build up in your system and just become overwhelming. So who out there like has suggestions and what you do? I know I hang out with my dog a lot. I love hanging out with Toby. Belly rubs are great. So that pet life, if you have pets, I love listening to music or sometimes just distracting myself with my favorite TV shows. I do love superhero TV shows, but what else? Like, are you expressing gratitude to yourself, or you have a gratitude journal? Are you expressing gratitude towards someone else and telling them how grateful grateful you are to have them in your life? Deep breathing, being creative. I really like when people say that because I'm fascinated. I haven't explored that outlet as much as I do. I think I got it kind of shut off because I don't feel very creative as a person, but I love it when people share that aspect. One thing too is looking at something you find beautiful. So I know in the VIA character strengths, they talk about exploring your strength for the appreciation of beauty. So stepping outside, exploring nature, like what helps you, like those visualizations of nature. Do you have pictures in your house of nature and those things? Or what helps you with those visualization exercises and calms your nervous system or helps you relieve that stress? Laughter, finding humor is another area to explore. Do you enjoy funny movies? How do you just laugh? Exploring TV shows. I know getting outside and what you can do, which I know sometimes is difficult for those of us when we're in chronic pain. So how do we explore these ideas and better visualize them when we can? And then another option would be just, are you able to call a supportive friend? Is there someone there to talk to? Maybe exploring spirituality in a new way. So those are things to like think about. And again, if you have other ideas and what helps you, please chime in and share as a community so we can best support each other, because it's important. Like I said, if you're rolling with those punches and it just keeps adding up layer by layer, it can get overwhelming, and you're waking up, you're like, oh gosh, like what is next? Like, please no, I just wanted to calm down. So trying to do these things perpetually every single day, healthy steps to just lessen that burden, that load of stress can be something really helpful. So I just wanted to check in with all of you. I know tomorrow is 4th of July. Supposedly Monday is a holiday. I know we'll be working through that, but please everyone take good care of yourself, relax, enjoy as much as you possibly can. Don't be afraid to check in with us, say hello, and I will check in with you more this coming month, because it's like I said, it's July. I like July in different ways for different reasons. So have a great weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everyone.